Alright guys and girls, welcome back. As you've seen in the title, this video is going to cover how to catch bluegill in July. July is a funky month, but it's one of my favorites. The fish are coming off the spawn, though they do spawn all summer long. These fish are feeding up, they're putting meat back on their bones. It's kind of like whenever you're fishing in the spawn, you catch a lot of fish that are razorback. They have very little meat on the sides of them. You're not going to run into that much in July. These fish are stocked back up, or they're stocking back up. You're going to get a lot more on your fillets. But most people quit for whatever reason in May, early June, because they think the bluegill bite's over, or they don't know exactly how to find them. I'm going to show you exactly what to do in July. You will catch fish no matter where you're at in the country. You're going to catch fish doing what I'm going to show you. You'll notice we got some pretty simple baits here. We got the Phyllis bluegill bug in black and red. We also got it in lime and white. We got jig heads tied on our poles. We're just going to be using a simple little bobber. This, I don't know if I can hang on to it. This is the style I like to use, and I'll show you why here in just a minute. Like I said, a couple of different colors, contrasting colors. We'll see what happens. Now in July, the name of the game is keeping your eyes open and looking for schools. Look for small fish busting the surface. Bluegill are going to school up this time of the year. You're going to get schools of anywhere from, I don't know, 10 to 30 bluegill in each school. They're going to be competitive, and they're going to be looking toward the surface for bugs, anything that's going to fall off trees, things like that, of that nature. You almost always see them schooling up. You got to fish fast. You got to cover a lot of water. There was actually a catfish that just bust right behind me. I just seen a catfish. This would be neat if I could catch him real fast on camera. But like I'm saying, when it comes to bluegill, don't waste your time. Don't throw it in one spot and let your bait sit there. You're not accomplishing much by doing that, because like I said, these fish are hunting in wolf packs. Whenever you come across one, it's going to be instant. They're going to take your bait immediately. So you're going to know, well, fish it in there, fish it in there. I would cover in about, cast in about 8-foot wide swaths. That way you're covering a lot of water as fast as possible. It makes you more efficient. And yes, once in a great while you will find the loner bluegill. Usually they're a little bit smaller, but you will find the loners out there, and you'll think, well, okay, I found a few fish. That's usually not the case. Like I said, I will show you on camera whenever we come across it, but we are going to look for actual schools of fish coming up on the surface. Right now they're not up on the surface. They're a little bit slow at this time, but I promise you, the hotter it gets, they're going to have to feed. They have a metabolism. They have to keep feeding. They're not like a bass. They can just eat one big meal and they're done. Their mouths aren't made that way. Okay, well, first one of the day, it was off of a point. This is a sickly bluegill, but here's what I'm talking about. Whenever you get bluegill that are coming right off the spawn, look at their backs. There is no meat on that thing. I don't care if it was a 10-inch long bluegill, you're not going to get anything off that. Let those fish go, let them recover. It's actually good. There's actually a small leech inside of its mouth that I cannot get to, so this fish probably does not have a lot of time left to live, but we're going to let it go. Right. Yeah, we got a small school out here. That's a couple bites off this point. They're not particularly big, but on this light action, they're a lot of fun. But they're on the back side of this point, in between this point and this cove, it looks like. And you can see a lot of bugs out here swirling around. That's what these fish are coming up for. They're coming up for these bugs. It doesn't matter if you're fishing in 8 foot of water. You only need to be fishing about a foot deep this time of the year. Most of these fish are going to be surface related, especially the ones we're after. We don't have any graphs. We don't have any way of going out and finding little schools of bluegill that are down toward the bottom. So you just got to let nature tell you what it wants. Bugs, shade, wind, and watch for them breaking. one took it. It's a nice little bluegill right there. I want you to see what I'm talking about. That one's got a lot of good meat on it. It's not full yet, but it's a lot better than those spawning fish that you're going to catch on their beds. You can get a good fillet out of that. Alright guys, I just saw some fish splashing right into that tree and just out from it. I think we've come across another school that's just come up to feed. That school that we were just on, caught 4 or 5 fish off of it. They're gone. Very typical in July. Get used to it. We're going to see if there's anything up in here. But cedar trees or any overhanging trees are usually pretty decent at certain times of the day. Especially if you get really lucky and there's a mayfly hatch. Just because it's July doesn't mean you can't get a mayfly hatch. They'll hatch early summertime. They were pretty unpredictable actually. There we go. Another pretty decent little bluegill. One thing I never do in the summertime, especially July, but never, ever, ever do I use live bait. Not when fishing for bluegill, ever. All I'm using today is the Shelton Lures Phyllis bluegill bug. It's what you always see me catching these fish on. But the reason I don't stick to live bait, bait shops have a lot of trouble keeping them alive in the summertime. They may live a week, maybe. But bait shops don't like using them with the crickets, the worms and stuff, because they got to keep them alive, and it's tough for you to keep them alive once you get out here on the water. These fish are going to hit these little plastic bugs just as much as they will live bait. I will link a video at the very end of this that gives a little bit more detail on this bait. But so far I've caught, like I said, close to 50 fish, and nice little bluegill. He hit immediately. Just right there in that corner. Right in the corner pocket. It's a good little bluegill. Almost as big as my hand. Guys, there ain't nothing wrong with this black and red bug. This is the same one I've been using the entire time. But I've been getting hit on lime and white out here with my stinger. And usually I got a lot less hits on that stinger than I do when I'm actually fishing normal ways with a cork up here. So we're going to try this color and see if they aren't hitting this color just a little bit better. In grass lakes, Tennessee Valley lakes, Tennessee River lakes, I mean, that lime and white seems to be a solid color. You catch a lot of fish on it. And I catch a lot of big red ear on it too, which is strange. I don't know if it's just in the color, or if they like lime better, if they like the white legs, I don't know. We're going to see if they hit this thing very hard. Oops, there was a bite right away. Come off. There he is, on lime and white. I kept throwing in there with my black and red, and they kept just tapping at it. There it is, probably the biggest one of the day so far. It's up there, same size as my hand, but he crushed that color. Said you just never know. We have 30 different colors of these bugs, and just there's no telling from day to day what color they're going to hit most. Now, I know I sound like a broken record sometimes, but something to keep in mind in July, these fish will show you where they're at. They may be right here, they may be right here, they may be up there on the bank for a second, but they're not going to be in the same place long. They're in and out. They come up and they surface, feed for 5-10 minutes, they're gone. You may be there right when they show up and think you're, in the best spot possible, yet they aren't going to last long. Other times, you fish a spot, you leave 5 minutes later, they show up and surface to it. The only way you're going to catch a lot of fish, bluegill especially in July, move fast, fish fast, cover a lot of water. I've caught probably 50 fish so far, but I've covered about a 400 or 500 yard slough. Now, another place to never overlook are dams and spillways. As you can see probably up ahead of me, there's bugs all along these rocks. These fish are in inches of water right up against these rocks. This provides a couple things. They have shelves, they have deeper water right in here for where these rocks, there's actually a lot of shelves out here that are out deeper. So right now we're probably in 6 to 8 foot of water. But up here, it's probably 4 to 5 foot of water. And then of course, right up on the surface, you have next to no water. And a bluegill just jumped out onto the rocks after a bug. I don't know if you saw that or not. I hope you did. That'd have been awesome. But this provides them a safe place to get down to if they need to, or to get back down into a water temperature that's more comfortable. But they have access to food right up here too. They also have access to small crawdads, crayfish that they'll eat. And I said I'll throw right up against the rocks, and you see how quickly they hit. It's just like that. So when you're in July, do not forget about riprap. Riprap is going to be a very popular spot for fish to be at. Look at that one. Look at that one right there. Biggest one of the day. Riprap, lime and white bug, 32nd ounce.